I'm at work today, and there's a good thing and a bad thing about having plants, or in my case, a little bit of a vegetable garden at work. When you're off for a couple days, things may or may not get watered, but it's good that I'm allowed to extend myself to the environment in which I work. So let's just take a tour on what all I have here. So we have this sealed, let me see, is it working? There we go. This sealed garden here, which has been sealed since May 18th of, no, May 31st of 18. In this sealed garden, let's just take a look. All right, camera, work with me. It's just some random mosses. And yeah, an occasional sprout of clover will come up and I'll just pull that out. But other than that, it's just moss that grows in here. And it's kind of cool in the wintertime to have something green to look at. I have this starfish Sansevieria, which has firmed up nicely, which means that it's putting on roots. I wanted to put out some babies and propagate a little bit. I want to have just I have a nice display of starfish Sansevieria. This is the most current terrarium sealed garden that I have here, and it has a fern in it, which is strange because I didn't plant a fern. I just had moss in here as well, but the fern grew from, I guess, some spores that were in the soil. And I don't want to open it because this doesn't have a rubber seal around it, and I like to keep it sealed as much as possible to keep the humidity level intact. But there are some bugs in there. There's a lot of life in that sealed garden. I have my silver sequoia here, which is a plant native to Africa. I repotted it in a video not too long ago. I love the texture on the foliage. It just screams like safari or animals, it's like an animal print. It's very nice. It's starting to put out a little bit of a offshoot right there, if you can see it. And I have to water it not frequently, but it dries out quicker than it used to, which is kind of good because this plant is drought tolerant. It operates as succulent, so the leaves hold on to moisture and you don't have to water it as often. So it's good that it dries out. It's in a glaze, it's a tray here, so it does pretty well here. What else? Oh, these are Sansevieria seeds that I was sprouting in a butterhead lettuce container. And do we have any life in here? Oh, we do. There's a small, let me see, right there. There's a small thing sprouting up. I may have to sprinkle a little water in here, but not too much growth there. I think those seeds were very old that I was given from the dentist office. So it may have been, I'm thinking I was doing something by taking a few of their seeds, and they may have just been really old seeds. So the germination rate might be a little low, but we'll keep an eye out on that. I have this sago palm, which was a discount rack find, and it's doing pretty good. It's not putting out any, maybe it is. There may be a new shoot about to come out of the center here, but when I got it, the 3 fronds that were on here were yellow and tattered and really bruised, so All three of these are new. And this plant grows really slow. If you know the history of a sago palm, it is very prehistoric in its genetics. It's one of the original plants that were here when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. So it has that cool factor. It is very toxic to animals, if you didn't know that. So if you do have pets, you might want to keep them away from this if they do eat your plants. But there's no dogs or cats at my job, so it lives here instead of at home. I have these ZZ plants, which this was one stalk. Well, it may have, it's a droopy one that broke off of the larger plant here, and I rooted it in water and I stuck it in here, and since then it has put out 2 new shoots, which is amazing. ZZ plant, by the way, I'm jumping all around here, does a really good job of just being a tremendous office plant, house plant. It requires very little maintenance. It has bulb-like tubers that provide most of the nutrients for the plant. So you can go months without watering this plant and it'll look shiny and vibrant and just wonderful. Sometimes I take this out in the backyard here and I hose it off because it gets pretty dusty here at the job. But for the most part, there's no maintenance to this plant. And I have it paired with this Chinese evergreen here, which again is a very low maintenance plant. If it got more sun, it probably would do better, but for the most part, it kind of like is suspended, right? In like suspended animation, it puts out growth, but very slowly. This corner just provides this green area without being, I don't have to do anything. The water gets really dry, and once this pot is, I'm able to move it around a little bit. I know that it needs more water, and I'll just fill it up, and it goes. I don't fertilize it because I'm not looking for it to just put out a tremendous amount of growth. I just want it to do its thing at its own pace. It is putting on new growth, as you can see, so it's happy and healthy. And I think a lot of people, let me flip this around if I remember how to do that. I think a lot of people want their plants to produce heavily, rather that's a vegetable, a produce plant or house plant. We just want a tremendous amount of green. We want a maximum amount of blossoms, and we want things to just be big and juicy, like if we were talking about produce. And sometimes its native or its natural state is not to be like that. A watermelon of today is not a watermelon of the past. Orange of today is not an orange in a natural environment that's not genetically modified or tinkered with. And a lot of these plants are jacked up on fertilizers once we get them from the garden centers and the big box stores. So there's an acclimation period where things have to get that out of their system, and then it goes into a more natural growth cycle, a natural growing phase where it's putting out growth and it's growing and it's living, but it's not producing, which can kill your soil and can kill your plant. So to be a little bit more gentler is what our grandparents used to do, older generations used to do. That's why they have a plant for 30 years. They wasn't dumping a bunch of stuff in it. They squirt a little water, wipe a little leaf, pull off a little yellow leaf, and it just kept growing. It wasn't over pruned or over processed or over stimulated. It was just allowed to do its thing. In this window, this is a variegated pothos that I don't know where I got it from. I'm sure it was a cutting from somewhere, and the soil is very moist. And again, it's a plant you don't have to do anything to. You just look at it and you just admire it, and occasionally you wipe off the leaves and you water it when it needs water, and it will trail and it will grow. In this space, I don't need anything to get big and outrageous. I just wanted some green here. I wanted it to be a more, nice environment. This spider plant, look at that. It's putting out new growth. It has babies on it. The leaves are really pale. Now I don't know if that's the variety or not because this was purchased off of Discount Rack. I know they come in many different varieties. It looks healthy. It doesn't look like it's like it's like lacking anything. There's a normal amount of yellowing on tips because that's what spider plants do sometimes. But other than that, the plant itself looks fairly healthy. I can rotate it to get the other side some sun and then clip these off and like clean this plant up. But other than that, it looks like a really healthy plant. I believe this is an asparagus fern. That again, it's putting out growth. It's doing pretty nice. It's pale green instead of being a bright, vibrant green. Now, it could be lack of nutrients in the soil because the plants at the job get what's left over there, and I think I planted this in some soil that may have been depleted of nutrients. It may need a little bit of osmocote or some biotone in the soil just to kind of like liven it up again. I just said no fertilizer, but sometimes plants do need a little something, something. If you notice that they need a little something, something, you give them a little something, something. But the whole point is to do it gently and gradually, putting a bunch of that MG stuff in there, you know what I mean? Puts a lot of salts in the soil, makes your soil clumpy and hard, and it just becomes this mass of just white, crusty stuff, and then your plant kind of like fizzles out. But if you do something that's a little bit more organic, your plant will appreciate it. In one of my videos, you saw me repot this Sansevieria snake plant. It's stiffening up nicely. It was leaning and wobbling, so I just not very visually pleasing, but it worked functionally to put a zip tie around it just to kind of hold it together. And it's stiffening up nicely, so that's what I wanted to do. It was like really soft in the soil and was leaning over. But eventually this will put out babies and this pot will fill up nicely. But in the meantime, I'm glad it's taking instead of getting soft because these were slowly dying. I have a few cuttings here that have yet to put out some roots. Hopefully they do and don't rot, and then I could plant these up as well. So we'll see about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for everything that grows indoors here. Oh, the Chef Flair's plant. This is a variegated variety of Chef Flair's plant. Can you see it? There it is. But I'm going to go outside and show you the vegetable garden. So stay with me.